What else you got?
All right, last one on people calling other people out and getting all mixed up. Tony Ferguson was also on the show, and he says that he would actually like to take on Nate Diaz. He wants to give Khabib the opportunity, but he's throwing out Nate Diaz as a good opponent for him too.
I mean, I like the fight. I'd love that. You imagine the shit talk in that fight and the just the tenacity of those two in a stare down. I don't know if that gets Nate Diaz out of the sack to come and fight Tony Ferguson. I think Nate Diaz, what he wants, and the bigger play is the rematch with Conor, the trilogy with Conor McGregor for the belt at 55. I think the only thing that really gets Diaz out of bed is the belt and a huge payday. That's probably not against Tony Ferguson. It's a good call out by Tony Ferguson. What else is he going to do if he's going to fight Khabib? That Khabib fight and Tony has to happen. We can't move on from that. It's the only fight we want to see. It really is. But Nate Diaz, he's especially at 55, he's not fighting for anything less than the belt against Conor, which it's his huge goose egg. That's all he's waiting for. That's the number one fight for him. So I don't see this happening.
Would that be the fight that happens? Granted, the boxing match happens. Would it be the fight right after the boxing match?
Yep. And then Conor sails off in the sunset. Or for whatever reason, Conor Floyd fell apart, or it's not happening like next year, Conor would fight Nate Diaz at 55. That'd be the only fight he takes. Ooh. He would not fight Tony. He would not fight Khabib. He would only fight Nate Diaz. It doesn't matter. We know Khabib and Tony are worse matchups for him. We know they're ranked higher. None of that stuff. You're talking like you're talking like you know what you're talking about. But that's not the way the UFC works these days. It's what sells tickets. Nate Diaz, Conor, 3 for the belt would be huge.
Who would you have for Ferguson Diaz? I'm guessing you would pick Ferguson.
Probably Ferguson, but Diaz at 55 looks amazing, man. But, probably Ferguson, he's so active and, he's just a killer, man. But for Nate Diaz, he takes so much time off. It's going to be tough to jump in there and beat a guy like Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably Tony be the favorite in that fight, I assume, Vegas odds. But obviously, you can never count out Diaz with his boxing and his ground game. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really fun fight. I don't see it happening, though. What else you got, brother?
Okay, next one is Rafael Dos Anjos. He just made a comment that he wouldn't go back down to lightweight to 155 because the money isn't worth the stress and the complications of making that weight cut. So he's saying the UFC doesn't pay enough for him to go down there again.
But they pay you enough to take brain damage?
I don't know.
How do you want to play this game? Because if you say the UFC doesn't pay you enough to keep coming to lightweight, well, let's just look at this. Let's scale this back a little bit. Do they pay enough to suffer brain trauma? Like, where do you want to stop? Because if you're saying, UFC doesn't pay you enough to fight at lightweight, and the weight's too tough, well, then do they pay you enough to get punched in the face? Do you want to continue doing this? Because when you hear comments like that, because if you want it bad enough, I'm sure if you talk to Tony Ferguson, if you talk to Conor McGregor, the Diaz brothers, any of these just killers, and you ask them, they're going to say, well, I don't give a fuck what they pay me. I make the weight, I whoop ass, and I'll get paid off beating their ass. So when you hear a guy goes, UFC doesn't pay me enough to keep cutting lightweight, okay. All right, man. Well, I know some guys who are big and you who figured out a way to do it.
It's just him saying his, loophole way of saying they just don't pay me enough, and he has to find a way to say it.
And, at 70, does he say what's next for him?
He just says 170, but I'm not sure who he's fighting next. Let's see.
Because he's lost twice now. I don't know what's left for him.
Oh, Colby Covington called him out, but
that's not happening.
He's like, I had to Google your name.
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, for Dos Anjos, I think it's his way of saying I don't want to fuck with 55 anymore because he lost Eddie Alvarez, right? He got murked by Eddie, and then he gets dismantled by Tony Ferguson. 55 is just too much of a shark's den right now. Mm-hmm. So, but then at 70, I guess there's some fun matchups there for him, but It's his way of just being frustrated with his career right now and the way things are going. But, if you're going to throw that comment out there, you scale it back. So it's too rough on your body to cut weight, but you're down to continue taking brain trauma.
Yeah.
And then you're jumping to 70 where, it's murderer's row as well. So he just has to figure out what he wants to do, man.
Fair enough.
That's all that leads to. What else you got, brother?
Okay. All right, this is Yoel Romero on MMA Hour. He's saying he wants to fight an interim title fight with Anderson Silva because he doesn't want to. I mean, the reasoning behind this is a little interesting. I guess he wants to take on Anderson because he feels as if whoever wins that Michael Bisping GSP fight might end up fighting Anderson anyway, so he wants to get him out. I think that's what I heard from this. I didn't really listen to it all the way through.
That's smart.
Is it?
Because I think if GSP wins, for sure Anderson Silva's the next title, 100%. If Michael Bisping wins, it's probably Yoel Romero. So Yoel needs to bank on Bisping winning. Because if GSP's the belt holder, they're not going to do Yoel Romero, this giant man versus GSP. I don't know if they sanction that fucking fight. He's just such a monster. So I like the idea of him going, I'm not even giving you guys the option. There's a slight chance GSP could win. I'm going to go ahead and take out this dude Anderson Silva. I don't see the UFC doing it because Anderson Silva, that's their next big payday. It's not, and it's just, again, I know there's rankings and I love rankings like you guys do. They simply don't matter because Yoel does deserve the title shot. And if GSP wins, it's not going to be Yoel. So he has to figure out what he wants to do. Because Anderson Silva's the big payday there. And that's all they care about. They have this nut they have to make up for, and it doesn't include Yoel. Yoel's getting completely fucked. I get it. But as a business entertainment identity, which they are now, Yoel's not in that equation, which sucks. So I get him wanting Anderson Silva. I don't see him doing it. And an interim title, god damn, how many interim belts are we going to give out? Do they even mean anything anymore? And it's UFC's marketing plan by saying, we realize we get more pay-per-view numbers, we get more TV ratings if there's a belt on the line. So that's why there's more belts. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Yeah. The reason why they're creating all these interim belts is because on paper, it brings in more views. That's the only reason. So there might be an interim title, but I don't see it being. They're not going to kill two birds with one stone because if GSP lose, and what you could do is if GSP loses, you're still going to have him fight Anderson Silva no matter what, because that's still a payday, and they both come off. I don't know what they're going to do, man.
So he should just sit out then, right? I mean, that's probably.
Yoel probably should. It's going to suck though because they don't have a date for Bisping GSP. So you can sit and wait, which that's not fun. I don't know who else he would fight.
Or
everyone else is matched up.
Is he stirring the pot maybe by just throwing this out there?
No, I think he's trying to figure out something to do to stay relevant, to stay in the spotlight and get things going. If you want to get crazy, and we talked about some of the fighting campaign, I think it's a terrible idea for Kelvin, but Kelvin versus Yoel. Kelvin's the only guy without a matchup really in those top six. Because Anderson's going to do what Anderson wants to do, Because I think Anderson wants to fight with Nick Diaz.
Yeah. I read that too.
Such a fucking gong show. It's just everyone wants this guy, no one wants this guy. It's just. But either way, the only person out of all this, just to wrap this up and move on, the only person who can screw it out of all this, all the names we just mentioned, would be Yoel Romero. And then Damian Maia at 70.
Dana White actually, well, I'm sure he's done it many times before, but he actually did put it on record saying Yoel Romero is for sure getting the title shot against Bisping. That one time, remember?
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They said the Misha Tate, they said Johnny Hendricks, they said a lot of guys. That doesn't hold any weight.
Yeah.
Because we know how in history, you look back at history when Dana White says that it doesn't hold that much weight. And also, what if Yoel takes a fight? Granted, he murks Anderson Silva. Let's say they give him a barn burner. What happens if Luke Rockhold goes in there and murks, Jacare or something like that? Or not Jacare, if Luke Rockhold just murks his next guy. And then it's Yoel, Rockhold. That's not an easy fight for Yoel. So I don't know. You can't guarantee a guy's spot because we have no idea when Bisbee and GSP are fighting. It just puts the division on hold. But again, all they care about is ratings.
Would they? I mean, when would you think that they would probably put it on? Sometime this summer or winter?
Maybe summer. Later than that, I would assume.
So
maybe they do the big July card, but I don't know. From what I'm hearing, it's not. That's not happening. I heard GSP needs more time. You've had 4 years, sir.